Call to order the Westlake City Schools regular school board meeting for Monday, July 19th, 2021. Roll call.
Kraft,
Here.
Fanukin,
Here.
Lizinski,
Here.
Piernot.
Here.
Everyone will join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We say hello and welcome to all of our visitors that are with us today, as well as those that may be joining us otherwise. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Lizinski,
Yes.
Fanukin,
Yes.
Kraft,
Yes.
Piernot.
Yes.
Motion carries.
At this time, we have a hearing of the public. Are we aware of anyone that wants to address the board this evening?
Nothing more.
We will move on to the minutes. We have all had an opportunity to review minutes. And all those in favor of the minutes for special meeting June the 14th of 2021, as well as the regular meeting of June the 30th, 2021, say aye.
Aye.
Those that do not approve, say no. Minutes are approved. And at this time, we'll move on to informative reports and recognitions. And Mr. Cipollone, you're here with us tonight. We planted that.
You're good?
I'm good. I think I'm good if I put this over here.
We'll try to cover it up.
Need a bigger podium. All right, first of all, happy summer to everybody.
Thank you.
Slowly coming to a close. Just wanted to come and give you some updates on a number of topics. A couple of things. First, I wanted to express sympathy publicly for the Burrows family. Rich Burrows was a great supporter of athletics, especially our baseball program, but swimming program as well, swimming and diving. So that's a loss for our athletic department in our community, and want to thank everybody for their generous outpouring of support for the family. They were a little overwhelmed, and so did want to mention him as well. I also wanted to say congratulations to our head football coach, Dan LaRocco. He had his baby yesterday. William Joseph was born yesterday at 7 pounds, 12 ounces. So congratulations to Coach LaRocco. I don't know about the timing of that. It's 2 days starting 2 weeks, but you know, we'll get around it. I'm sure he'll work it out. We're obviously excited about the upcoming year. A lot of things to be excited about. One, new league, going from the SWC, where we had a great run, to the Great Lakes Conference, renewing some neighborhood rivalries, but also we're excited about having our fans back, having our fans return. Looking forward to seeing, hopefully, knock on wood, full football stadiums, full soccer stadiums, full volleyball gyms, and so on and so forth. Have a few new faces in our coaching staff, but for the most part, our head coaches are all the same. We do have one for the fall here with Coach O'Brien with the girls soccer program. Has been doing an outstanding job. Hopefully, you've been following some of the stuff he's been doing on social media. Just building good camaraderie and teamwork there as well. Final Forms, as you know, that was a big push for us. As of this morning, when I checked, we have had 342 athletes, 7 through 12, that have already registered. They are in some area of full registration. Not all of them are fully registered. We're at about 25% compliance, which isn't great, but we're still sending them some things out. There was a blast that I sent out tonight. Just kind of remind people to both the student athlete and the parent have to sign off on the forms. But I will say that being able to submit your physicals via upload and online has been very, very helpful. So feel good about that. And then we sent out some communication to our fall coaches today as they're meeting with their players and lifting. To just kind of emphasize, hey, let's get this stuff going. So I feel like the reaction we've been getting from the community and from our constituents has been great. The parents that I've talked to said this is by far the easiest thing we've done. So that's my plug for Final Forms. Just want to give a shout out to our high school coaches that ran camps this summer. We entertained over 250 students through our camps this summer, which was really nice. I mean, we had sellout camps, really, if you want to look at it that way. Volleyball with Coach Spriggs, girls soccer with Coach O'Brien, Coach Huber and boys basketball, Coach Rojek and girls basketball, Coach Rocco in football, and then Coach Reddy, our new girls lacrosse coach from last year. Just had a great time, had really good responses from the community as far as camps go. And so hopefully we'll be able to continue to keep building that. Obviously, most of those coaches are using those as fundraisers, which is always a good thing as well. So congratulations to those coaches. Want to thank the board, Dr. Goggin and Todd for bringing in T3. I know we're about finalized with the contract as our strength and conditioning company. We had a preliminary meeting with our head coaches last Monday night. Went great. Coaches are excited. Our lead coach is Heather Klappix. She'll be our lead coach from T3. Heather is a former Division I soccer player at Cleveland State. She's been in the strength and conditioning field for over 10 years. And she's already been working with our girls soccer program as they contracted with her separately over the summer here. And I've been in the weight room a couple of times and watched her work out the girls. And I think our athletes are in for some good workouts. So we will have some other coaches as well, but she is our lead coach. And T3 has been great. We had a couple of different Google forms that we sent out to our coaches and shared with them. And so they're building our program as we speak, and they're ready to roll. Sponsorship packages. I met with the finance committee a couple of weeks ago, I think it was. And we're talking about the sponsorship packages. Craig Tanzerite's gonna help us facilitate some of those. Just wanted to hopefully, I think I shared with you a Google Doc with at least the finance committee about the package. I shared it with Craig. He thought those were pretty close to being on par. And so he is going to approach current in the stadium, the current holders of the signs to see if they're interested, probably -1. And then we'll work from there. So I think the one thing we will have to figure out, and I do believe that we'll probably need to do another meeting and bring WDAB into it is what kind of split and things like that we're going to do. But I think that can be worked out. I think we want to get the sponsorship signs up in time for at least for the beginning of the year. Just a couple of dates to bounce by you. Remember, September 17th is our homecoming. That homecoming game is against Bay. So that's going to be super exciting. Everybody thinks that's very early, but the OHSA has moved up the season. So it's really our 5th game of the season. So that's the homecoming game. The 16th is the Hall of Fame dinner. That will be at Wagner's. I believe that's a 6 o'clock cocktail hour, and then 7 o'clock the actual induction starts. We are working on trying to reinstate the Bay Bonfire, which was a traditional thing that we had done when I first got here. We would like to do it on Sunday the 12th. I've already talked to Officer Gardner at the high school. He's willing to help facilitate that. I'm meeting with Megan Matu tomorrow. We're going to talk about that. The one thing, not that it matters to me, but the one thing is the Browns do play a late game on that day. So we might have to push it back like at 8 o'clock. Steelers play at 1 in case anybody wanted to know. But don't want to do it during the week because we have a lot of events that week that are at home, soccer and volleyball. So we don't want to conflict with another sport. That wouldn't be fair. We are bringing back the Spirit Rally. I met with our new WDAB president is Vernette House Browning. Met with her, and Delicia Ostrowski is our new vice president. Spirit Rally will be August 11th, 6 to 8 p.m. We have 4 food trucks. Marching band will perform. We have a DJ. They tell me the return of the dunk tank is coming back. So
Look at me.
There will be games for kids. They're revamping how they do the games a little bit, but excited about that. Really, all of our fall sports get kicking on August 2nd. Official start day is August 1st, but that's a Sunday. I don't think any of our coaches are planning on starting on a Sunday, but they are going to start on that August 2nd. And we'll have our picture day following Sunday. A couple other things that I know you discussed in your last meeting. You talked a little bit about eligibility. As you know, the OHSA waived their fall sport eligibility. I know there was discussion about us waiving, again, our 1.5 GPA, which I think the discussion was a good discussion. I also think that it can't just be, we just waive it and don't do anything. So I've sent a proposal to Dr. Goggin. I shared it with him. I just wanted to kind of go over with the board of the thought process of where we're going to go. So the way I look at this is it's not going to be that many students. Now it will allow us to have some students who I thought were going to be ineligible, they will become eligible. But I also think that, below 1.5 that shouldn't be, the priority should be getting your grades back up. So the things that I think that they should do is I think that each coach, whether that be the head coach or their position coach, or if they're a JV or freshman player, each of those coaches should get a copy of that student athlete's schedule. And I'm going to recommend that those coaches then email those teachers to kind of give them a heads up, say, hey, this is a student that struggled last year. If you notice something, can you give me a heads up? So we got a lot of eyes on it, which I think is good. Then we will check the students' grades. We'll check them every 2 weeks. So that will be September 7th, September 21st, October 5th, and October 19th. So that'll be every 2 week period. If at the end of that 2 week period, that student would be below that 1.5, then they will become ineligible until that next 2 week period. And that's what I'm proposing. And then as our rules have always stated, even ineligible students are eligible to practice at all times. Now that's up to the discretion of the coach, but I do believe that if the idea is to keep them active and involved in something, taking practice away is not what we want to do. However, there is times where, hey, if they need to study or they need to have a tutor at the practice time, then we can do that as well. So that's kind of what I'm proposing. I'm sure you can discuss that, and you can let us know. We have a little time to do that. A couple of other slight changes in the handbook. So we did put into the student handbook in the athletic portion is that we do have a progression and communication mechanism for violating team rules. So we think that by putting this in, that will give us a procedure to follow. Should there be a violation of team rules, there will be, again, more eyes on it. Myself, Mr. Woods at the high school, and then at the middle school would be Mrs. Yako, and Dennis Sullivan would be at the middle school as well. So that procedure was put into the handbook, both WHS and LBMS. And then just one other slight change. There was a slight change in OHSA rules at the middle school level for scholarship. It used to be, it was 75% of your classes you had to be passing to be eligible. That's now changed to 4 classes. So it's not a huge change, but a little bit of a change. And then the last thing is I'll be in contact with our drug testing company to re-implement our random drug testing. And I'm sure we'll have a discussion about that within our athletic council.
Thank you, Mr. Cipollone. Are there questions for Mr. Cipollone?
Yes, in light of what's happening now with some of the Olympians, what's the thing going on with vaccinations for our athletes?
And I would like them all to be vaccinated, but I don't think we can force them to be vaccinated. So
Are you gonna take any precautions?
we will follow at this point. We'll follow what the OHSA and Ohio Department of Health guidelines are. Right now, they're pretty thin. Just kind of keeping an eye on things. Now, knock on wood, we haven't had that I'm aware of anything that happened with our kids this summer. I do know that we had a good portion of our athletes just from word of mouth that were vaccinated. But, you know, it would be, I would encourage, as the OHSA has done, encourage our athletes to get vaccinated. So if they do become exposed, they won't have to quarantine, but I don't think we can force that on anyone.
Can you have the ones that haven't been vaccinated wear a mask?
No.
You can't
Actually, I
do
can,
that?
no, I can address that.
Saw
So
that today.
they actually, it's in House Bill 110, one of
Yeah.
the, I may be getting the number wrong, but I'll get the gist of it right. But Ohio did pass legislation saying that we can't put restrictions on people based on vaccination. And one of the reasons for it, or the primary reason, is that both the COVID vaccines have been approved for emergency use. They don't have full approval from the FDA. So it's more like a temporary approval for emergency use. Once it goes and becomes fully approved, then we'd be able to put some things like that on. But while it's what they would consider to be experimental or emergency, we can't put restrictions on it. We're not allowed. So I can't say, so the CDC came out with their report saying vaccinated students and staff don't have to wear a mask, but others do. We can't enforce that. Even though they made that statement, we can't enforce that.
Other thoughts or questions for Mr. Cipollo?
I'm excited about the T3 program that's being rolled out and how it's not just weightlifting, and it's very holistic and looking at nutrition and mental health. And because I know, especially for a number of people who I know doing additional athletics or even adults, you know, the mental health portion of it is a big portion.
Yeah, so a couple of highlights from our discussion with them. One is because of the amount of multi-sport athletes we have, that is going to be key. They're going to be able to cross-train those athletes. So that was one. One thing that we did discuss in our meeting is injury prevention. So ACL prevention is we've had a rash of women's ACL injuries here in the last few years. So that's part of their program as well. And then, as you said, we get access to their sports psychologist, Molly McQuarrie, I think is her name. She'll be, and she'll do a seminar once a season. And so that'll be kind of a programming thing for us. And then, you know, their big thing is they want to create a culture in the weight room where kids want to be there. And it's not like, I got to go to the weight room or I got to go lift. So the contract that we're going to sign is a 25-hour a week. So if you think about that broken down, if we opened our weight room on Monday through Friday from 4 to 7, that's 20 hours. We still have 5 hours to work with on the weekends. So some ideas that we had were, obviously we have some teams that like to lift on after games like Saturday mornings and things like that. But other schools have done a all-encompassing, like, show up if you want speed workout on the turf on a Sunday morning or a Saturday morning. It's one of those things where, you know, they were talking about where you as a wrestler can line up next to a soccer player and all of a sudden you're competing with somebody that you don't really see very often. And so that builds that culture and that camaraderie between our athletes to support each other. Because then you might say, oh, that person beat me in a sprint, I'm going to go watch them play, whatever sport that is. So I think there's some really good things. I mean, the schools that are using them right now have nothing but really good things to say. So I think we're definitely giving our student athletes a good competitive advantage, in my opinion.
And who is our T3 coach?
Heather Clappix.
Can you spell that for me?
I think it's CLAPACHS.
And Ms. Klavix, she would engage in these coaching sessions on the weekend as well?
Yeah, so we will have, we'll always have, that's the nice thing about T3 is that, so what happens is with the amount of coaches we have that don't teach in the district anymore, which is about 50%, you know, we have coaches that work a 9 to 5 job and can't get there, we'll have a certified person in that weight room coaching our kids. Now, we want our coaches to be there, but it's not necessary for them to be there all the time. And so it's really going to take some of the pressure off of our coaching staff to let them concentrate on their sport and let the experts in that field concentrate on their strength and conditioning and speed and agility.
I think about the last thing in your presentation that you talked about, and I'm going to refer to it maybe improperly, but as a coach's curriculum. And we're all aware of really what a tough job coaching is. And also when it comes to mental health and growing, just how coaches many times are on the front line when it comes to the development of our students, and just how important it is for coaches to have just our support, which they do. But we've had some tough situations over the last couple of years. And what many have said, because it's not just Westlake, it's every school. It's just the changing environment. And we had talked about this idea of a coach's curriculum uniformity when it comes to communication, player interaction as well. And I know that you're developing that curriculum, if you will, very similar to how we created say a music curriculum, which we had never had before. That'll be a part of really this fall, correct?
Yeah, so we created this coach's handbook. It kind of includes, with the help of Bob, and we've gotten some input from some other school districts and kind of adapted it to us. So we had Impact Group work on this. Every coach will have a copy of it. There's a couple of changes that had to be made before we could send it out to him. But really, it covers everything. It covers the demon code. It covers financial things. It covers transportation. It covers how to handle conflict. It covers social media. You like to think you covered everything, but you know that you're not. That's why we made it a kind of a living document on a Google form, so we can go back in and change it. We've already had to go back in and change a few things in there, but it covers eligibility, because you think that when you bring in a new coach, they just automatically understand what eligibility is, right? And sometimes they don't, and you understand how to do transportation, understand how to do those things. So we tried to cover it. It's about a 35 page document. Really happy with the way it came out from Impact Group. They really did a good job of cleaning it up, because it didn't look this pretty when I did it. So, but covers student code of conduct violations, drug and alcohol violations, penalties for that, and then obviously the procedure that I talked about with violation of team rules. So
I envision sometimes in the perfect world, I don't know if it happens or not, if there's even the time for it, but you and coaches getting together, and we've had some great examples of tough situations, good situations. Does that conversation, say, amongst coaches and you, does that really occur? Or is it more so, hey, here's the doc, and if you need me?
No, we with one good thing that came out of COVID is that it's easier to have a coaches meeting now, because I know that, I remember talking to Dr. Goggin about this, is that it was hard to get all those people at the same place in the same time in person. Now with virtual, while it's not ideal, but it's a lot better. I can get a lot better attendance by having a virtual meeting and talking about those things. We had our coaches culture committee and shared a lot of those stories. I talk to most of my coaches on a weekly basis, no matter if they're in season or out of season, whether that be via text or via phone or via Google Meet or in person. So that's one thing that I like to do, is my coaches know that I want to know what's going on. So that's one of the things that I do.
Sure. And I know eligibility was a big conversation on the board, and you had those dates, 2 dates in September, 2 dates in October. I think if I'm a student and I'm at, say at 1.5, I'm walking through the door at 1.5. So we're looking for improvement from there on the 7th, the 27th of September, and then ongoing. Are there grades that we're looking at then for?
Yeah, we're going to look at their grades off of Power School. Okay. So I've talked to Mr. Woods about this. That's going to put, he's going to make an emphasis with our staff that you have to have grades in there, right? Sometimes that's one of the concerns is, and one of the things that we faced the back half of last year And I'll give Coach LaRocco a shout out because he was in my office every week for the last 4 weeks of the year. And he had a list of kids that he knew were in trouble and checking on them. And he would go find them and say, let's go, here you go. Let's get this going, and have them go talk to their teachers and things like that. So, I think you want to have them above a 1.5 because that's the standard, right? So it's kind of a low standard. We all think that, I'm sure, but that's what we have. So if they're a 1.5 or above, they're going to be eligible. But that's not good. We still want to make sure that, but I think just having that extra set of eyes, that extra person that is going to be checking on them, whether one of those people is their parent, the counselor, and then the coach now, and maybe a position coach or an assistant coach. Now you have 4 sets of eyes as opposed to just 1 set of eyes that we usually had. So.
And I like the fact that you bring in the family as well, really the front line of defense when it comes to the success of their student. And you mentioned it, so that was one of my questions as well.
Yeah, it's a shared accountability.
Sure.
I mean, it's a shared accountability. It's a student athlete first, and then it's the family, the counselors, and the support staff. I mean, it's a shared accountability. And
with regard to signs as well as sponsorship, I know that the documents for sponsorship seemed rich. I'll call it just expensive. But I think a part of that, you left open the door for a la carte, right?
Mhm.
So sponsors have the opportunity, hey, if X amount is something that's too high, they have an opportunity to choose sponsorship really a la carte where they sponsor.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we need to get a little bit more into to figure out what we think is fair.
So we're still working it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're going to Craig's going to approach the current holders of the signs. That's the first step.
Okay.
While he's doing that, then we can look at the other ones. But I do believe that we need to have maybe a group meeting again and bring WDAB into that mix as well.
And just, I think that time is the essence, and time is very important. How quickly can such a meeting occur? And Mr. Hopkins, would you be a part of that meeting as well?
I'm happy to be part of that meeting.
All right.
And we could look to schedule something soon, probably virtually.
Yeah.
To make it easy and get everyone that we can as part of it.
All right. Yeah, that'd be great. And I'll make myself available. I know I'm not always there, but I'd like to be a part of that meeting. I just think we need to really get that moving, and it's an important part of your program. It's an important part of the school's program, and we'd love to make that happen. Any other questions for Mr. Cipollone?
I do have one. It's kind of a nit, but I'm just curious. How does moving to the Great Lakes Conference affect the SWC banners that are in the gym, our championship?
Good question. I actually had that and I missed it on my
Oh,
notes.
okay.
But so we have a PO in place to replace the wall that has the teams on it. So that the same company that did those is going to come in and put the new ones on. And then I'm in discussions with our WDAB leadership. They want to be a part of a revamp of the gym. So they're willing to invest some significant funds. Would like to work with the district to kind of revamp the gym, kind of have a little bit of an overhaul of the conference championship boards and all the other things that are in there. So we just had some plans in place. Those got put on hold at the end of the last administration. And now the new administration has reintroduced those with me, and we're gonna work on that. So, but the actual teams, those should be replaced before the first volleyball game. So,
And what about the years in which we won the Southwest Conference, those would still be reflected in some way.
yeah, we're still gonna keep those up there. One of the ideas was to redo all those conference championships and make them different colors. So,
Oh, yeah.
so like the SWC championships will be in one color. And then, as you know, in the new conference right now, at least there's divisions. So then you could have division champs in one color. And then if you win the conference, that would be in a different color. So you could have actually 3 different colors on that board. And you could, that's what I was talking to Dr. Goggin about. The nice thing is being in the new conference, you have an opportunity to win a division championship, a conference championship, and then go on and win a sectional or a district or a regional championship. So you got a lot of shots to win championships.
Can you talk about our division?
Yeah, so our division, exciting. Rocky River, Bay, Fairview, Westlake, North Olmsted, and Elyria Catholic. And that'll be our side. And then on the other side is the 3 Parma schools, and then Lakewood, Buckeye, and Holy Name. So exciting. On all the team sports, there will be a divisional champ, and those divisional champs will meet the last game of the season. With the exception of basketball, which will have a full conference basketball tournament like you see in the NCAA. They did it last year because of COVID and they missed so many games, and people liked it so much that they decided that they're going to do that. So we saved games at the end of our season to have a conference basketball tournament. So kind of excited to do that. We did just partner, the conference just partnered with Key on Sports. I don't know if, it's a social media. Vince McKee has done a great job of covering high school athletics around this area. He's going to be doing all the previews for all the GLC schools. We partnered with him. We sent out a Google form to all our coaches, and he'll be writing along with he has a bunch of interns from different colleges around here, and he'll be writing previews that will be blasted out on his social media, which we'll be able to retweet and forward to everybody. So kind of exciting stuff.
I think that's something that people have been looking for. We've heard that before on how that can be inconsistent at times, like the coach is in-house or out of the district. And so doing something like that will show that it's going to be pretty consistent throughout each sport.
Well, the signage is being updated at Westlake High School. Will it be updated at Ferguson also?
Yeah, so it was kind of funny because I took a poll of the GLC schools of who had, because we have banners up in Bernison, and who had banners up in their middle schools, and none of them had them up. They just had a gym. So I think we're going to look at doing banners, and that'll be part of the WDAB. That's part of what I want. See if they'll do the new banners for the schools to update the middle school gym. I talked to North Olmsted. I talked to Mike before he left me and took a bigger job, and they were going to put banners in their middle school as well.
You are comfortable with the idea that turf at the stadium is part of Board of Education property, and you're comfortable with the Board of Education through capital expenditures will take care of the turf?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah.
Understood.
Yeah.
Super. Any other questions for Mr. Sipler? Thank you.
Thanks.
On to the superintendent's report.
It will be a little bit shorter. I appreciate, we don't get Tony very often, and when we get him here, especially with a lot of the news that's going on, it's great to hear from him. I also am excited about the new conference. I think it's going to be a lot of fun as well. A couple of things I want to go through, and I'll pick on Kathy and Amanda to talk a little bit. I want to mention we've had a lot of programming happening through the summer. Our Tier 3 programming begins on Monday, and our Tier 3 programming is more of the remediation. Is that a fair way to call it? To where you bring in students who need some extra support. We've had acceleration programs happening. We've talked about it before. And it hit me one day when I just walked into their office and they were swamped. I mean, they were interviewing, they were building curriculums and all the different things. And it hit me that our team, and with Kathy and Amanda, but also Bob, Pete, Paul, Stephanie, and even Dave. But no, seriously, what they're doing is they're running a mini school year, right? This isn't your typical summer school program. And they're in the process of not only getting ready for this upcoming school year, which is a lot of work in general in the summer, but they are running a ton of programming. 180 students start on Monday, 178.
Yeah, probably.
Okay, either of you want to talk a little bit about the programming that has happened and then what is happening on Monday?
So I'll start with tier one. So tier one was run through Project Link. And I have to say, I think it was a huge success. He did a great program, just running, hiring and then running those. So in fact, one of them, I think it's called Brain Games. It was so popular, we had to add 5 sections of that. And so we have because the focus of tier one was enrichment and engagement. So we have public thinking that's going to be happening at the Brain Games. So I think I heard, well, player participated in a few. Shakespeare, college essay writing. It was great, and so I think that that we really didn't want us involved in anything. And then tier two. So tier two for kids that are students that were identified with having a display gap. And so what we did was we took their math data and we purchased a software program that created an individualized program for each of those students. And we have 2 supervisors that are answering questions for families and so forth. So that's tier 2. And then probably the most time consuming was the tier 3, which as Dr. Donovan mentioned, it starts on Monday. And I'm going to let Amanda talk about K-8 and then I'll talk about high school.
Dr. I just asked her what MAP is.
Yeah, because we said it's based on MAP data and sometimes we get acronyms.
Sure. Measures of academic progress and online assessment that students take in both reading and math 3 times a year, so we can monitor growth and monitor gaps, use it for Title I identification, amongst many other things. So again, tier 2 was for your academic concerns and also for kids that did not have any SEL, social emotional concerns. Tier 3, we're bringing in students with significant academic gaps that may have been identified through MAP data. It could have been through teacher recommendation. It could have been because they didn't pass the 3rd grade reading guarantee. We looked at every data point you can think of for every student in the district. Beyond that, though, we looked at students who were disengaged from virtual learning, students with, again, those social emotional concerns. We just want our eyes on them. We want to help them adjust back to the school year. Students who are virtual. 100%, so that they have never stepped foot inside their school building. We think of our, our 1st graders, our 8th graders, students who have never stepped foot in the building for virtual year. We looked at them to see if there were other concerns that would want to bring them in separate from just the virtual orientation. So that program begins Monday, and about 120 kids participating at the elementary school, and then about 50 kids participating in grades 5, 8, and Berkson. We've had wonderful coordinators, and I do want to give them a shout out because they're working their tails off. Kevin Berry is taking care of 5-8 in terms of running the building logistics, and Caitlin Soltis and Abby Nixon are running that for K4. They worked closely with us on all the logisticals. But again, we are bringing in these kids and we are giving them intensive interventions with certified teachers. Erin is actually helping us. She's running one of the grades for us, which is wonderful to welcome the district that way. But we are also giving them that social emotional support. So we partnered with Belfair, which we also have them throughout the school year. They will be running a 45-minute special twice a week for every student that is attending, just to help again with that transition, help with those anxieties, help with just anything that kind of comes up in conversation. What is worrying our kids, and how can we make this program fun and make them excited to come back? And then apart from that, in K4, we also have Jason Hall, one of our employees, running a PE special the other 2 days a week, so that we can break up the kids' day. They'll have snack, they'll have outdoor time. We're not trying to make them keep coming back in August. The goal of this is to re-engage them, hopefully catch them up and start to close some of those academic gaps, and then make them ready and excited to be back on the first day. That's what we're focusing on.
So high school is different. So of course, our high school students are earning credit, and so the students that have signed up for tier 3 in high school have may have failed a semester course for 2 or perhaps more, and so those students have been working independently through our Inventum courses, and for the in-person portion, we have. I'm so proud of our high school teachers that have graciously given up some of their summer to work with our students. And so we have a number of staff members that are going to be operating these open office hours in which students can come in and kind of go through some of those online lessons. So they're more like of a coach, hoping to get them to finish at least one class before the beginning of the school year.
Wow. Wow, that's a lot. I think we'd say, holy, you know what, if we weren't in a board meeting, but thanks to you, thanks to your entire staff, thanks to your coordinators, it's just tremendous. We continue to hear about all the work that all of you do. And we say, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's a ton of work we know. And we thank you for all you do for our students.
It is so amazing and easy to work with, and she's really spearheaded most of the.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
All right. Super. Thank you.
Okay, also in the meantime, Mr. Maver's been working hard at filling staff needs. And we do have multiple people on the agenda, which I'll get to when it's agenda time. But some people who we have here today, I will start with Peyton Frankovich, and wave to us here. Peyton, interesting thing about Peyton and listening to Mr. Cipollone talk is she's also a college soccer player. So I'm sure she was listening to that intently, and she would have corrected you, I'm sure, if you said anything that was inaccurate. Also, another interesting thing about Peyton is she is from Dover, Ohio. So the history of Westlake being the other Dover, Ohio, and with Peyton going from Dover, Ohio to a town of Westlake that used to be called Dover, Ohio. So she will be joining us as working with our students who are learning the English language on the Dover campus. So she'll be both at Dover Intermediate School as well as Lee Burnison Middle
Welcome
School.
home to Dover, right?
You do have to change your address though. It's no longer Dover, zip code's different, all those kind of things. So then then we have Erica Nanari, who's actually from the old Dover, which is now Westlake, Westlake High School graduate, who, as Amanda had said, is she will be helping us with our learning program this summer. She also works at Link, which is I'm sure where she was right before this meeting, which is why she came in a little bit later after others. She helps us with Link as well, and she will be coming in as a Title I teacher at Westlake Elementary School. And go ahead and say it. And will be one of our cheerleading coaches as well. Super. Well, we're giving Peyton some time. We're going to let her come in, move her stuff, and we will, I'm sure she'll be coaching for us at some point because, yeah.
Super. Welcome.
The other person we have back there hiding behind the podium is Shaylee Stearns. Shaylee is coming in as an intervention specialist. She will be at Dover Intermediate School. So the dominoes that fell here, Aaron Blahnik moved to Westlake Elementary School, and Emma McHugh moved to Lee Burnison, which opened up Emma's position at Dover Intermediate School. Shaylee is coming to us from the Bedford schools. However, before that, she worked at the Achievement Center here in Westlake as well. So we're really excited to have everybody on the agenda, welcome. But having the three here today, just want to say welcome and introduce you to the school board.
Super. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Other than that, I will turn it back over.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Hopkins.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President.
Yeah.
I'm very brief tonight. I really, with our last meeting being a week ago,
right.
And doing a full financial update at that meeting, I would encourage people, if they have not watched some of the finances at the end of the year, it would take the opportunity. I know it's long and a little bit dry, but there's some good information in there. Other than
reading.
I know. But other than that, I'm happy to answer any questions from the board, or I can just go straight into my recommendations.
I'm good with you moving forward.
Thank you. Tonight, I really just have, I believe, three recommendations before the board. First one is approve student activity purpose statements and budgets. Annually, we approve our purpose statements as we ask each of our advisors to turn in a form that lists the purpose of their activity that they're overseeing, and then estimated revenue and expenses. So all of that information for the ones that have been turned in is in front of you tonight. I also have 3 then and now certificates that I'm asking the board to approve. One's GPD. We've talked about some of the work they've done for the Dover campus site circulation. We do have a illuminating company bill that just came in late, and I think we got it June 28th. So it was after we had closed out our books for the end of the year. And then we have another one for School Messenger. You're going to see some over the next few meetings or few months. Unfortunately, this time of year, a lot of companies will issue an invoice for annual subscriptions and just date it July 1st. But they send us the bill as, or they send us the quote as an invoice. And when we write it up, it's just a then and now. So those are the ones that I'm asking the board to approve tonight. And then finally, I have some payment in lieu of transportation for some non-public students. This is cleaning up some students of filing forms late for last school year, the 2020-2021 school year. So this is going back. We've not brought anything to the board for the upcoming school year yet. If it so pleases the board, I'm happy to combine the 3 of them into one motion.
Is there a motion to approve treasurer's recommendations for A, B, and C?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yes, I have a question. There's a lot of them that are students at Westlake Christian Academy, and I always thought the payment in lieu of was because it was beyond like a 30-minute drive or.
No, there's 6 different reasons why you can identify a building as payment in lieu of transportation. One of them is if it's beyond 30 minutes. If it's a 30-minute bus ride under current law. Now, there have been some changes due to the new budget bill. I don't believe they've changed the 6 reasons, but don't quote me as I've not looked at it in
They
detail.
added another reason too.
Okay. I haven't seen that offhand from what I've read so far, but we're still getting information on the details of the new budget. But one of them is 30 minutes away. But other reasons can be you don't have the equipment to do it, or the number of students doesn't make sense. A financial sense, fiscal responsibility is one of the reasons. So a number of years ago, we have deemed Westside Christian impractical as the numbers were very small, didn't make sense. We've maintained that going forward. So it is a balance of some schools we do provide transportation to. If it makes sense, other schools we do not, because we identify one or more of the reasons, one or more of those 6 reasons that we can do a payment instead.
Other discussion. Roll call.
Granat,
Yes.
Fanukin,
Yes.
Kraft,
Yes.
Lizinski.
Yes,
Motion carries.
Move on to the superintendent's recommendation.
Okay, so some of these are going to be easier because of the reports that were given. 5A is a resolution to approve licensed staff members, which included Peyton, Erica, and Shaylee. In addition to those 3, we do have Samantha LaHood, who would be coming in as a Title I teacher at Dover Intermediate School, and also Sarah Philpott as a science teacher at Lieu Burnison Middle School. That opened up at Lieu Burnison Middle School because Mr. Fawnings retired and Kip Primrose moved into Mr. Fawning's spot, and that created a spot where we needed a science teacher. Sarah's coming in via Texas. She's originally from Brecksville and coming home to the Cleveland area. So those are the folks we have there. Classified staff members. Tammy Fuller has been at Lieu Burnison Middle School as our receptionist. She is moving into transportation as a transportation secretary, taking over for Julie McCoy, I believe, who retired. The other ones are become easy. Letter C, approve employment of Tier 1 personnel for a summer program. And then letters D and E are the Tier 3 programs that Amanda and Kathy spoke about. That's beginning on Monday, so you can see the amount of staff that they're bringing in to do that. Letter F is approving some time for Elena Prohaska She teaches computer science at the high school. Mateil's program is a Microsoft program, which we partner with. And then you have some athletic supplementals for upcoming fall sports. And letter H is memorandum of understanding with OOLP. That is an Ohio online learning program that we have used for virtual instruction, and that is primarily used for students who have medical concerns or some sort of reason. It's not just an online school for us where we place everybody. We do it for a specific reason. Letter I is awarding our photography contract to Rip Show Studios. We had two companies bid. One is Life Touch and one is Rip Show. And it is recommended that we go with the Rip Show group. And then the last two are handbooks, or actually, letter J is the program of study. One is for Lee Bernison Middle School and the other one is for Westlake High School. The changes that are on there were shared with you, not too much in the program of study, but it did have that breakdown that we talked about regarding Mr. Thoning's class going into like 3 sections instead of just being strictly the pre-engineering.
I think it's exciting.
I think it is too. Did you want to say something about the breakdown of
So
the new
Scott
program?
asked, look at what we're doing. The pre-engineering program at Bernison has always been very strong. What other opportunities could we share with our students to prepare them with other options beyond just engineering? So the pre-engineering is still going to be some of the units, 5, 7, 8th grade. And then we added health science technology, which is great for 4 classes in preschool as well as our freshman program. And then we have a new one called Innovation and Design, which will be covering media and art. And so Mr. Rose is working on developing those units right now. So as soon as he comes back from vacation, we'll be spending a lot of time together to really iron out what units are going to be covered each trimester.
With his science background and his depth in technology, we're really excited to take that over. And then letter K are the handbooks for the elementary school, intermediate school, middle school, and high school. The middle school and high school do have the athletic handbook at the end. Mr. Cipollone talked about the change that was in that handbook. I think a big one in the handbook was a revision on dress code. There's a
Yes.
very
Towards inclusive dress code, so
Yeah.
it's essentially the same for K-12. And staff, parent, and some student.
the items. And I'm good with A through K if that pleases the board. If you want to vote on something separate, let me know.
Is there a motion to approve superintendent's recommendations 5A through 5K?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you for taking the time with updating the dress code. I know this was a hot topic amongst
It was.
a number of students and parents at the end of the school year.
But I think it's nice is that it was a hot topic, but they sat and talked about it. You know, they sat and talked about it and they went through it and really, I think, came out with a better product than we had before.
I support everything there when I just think about and just touch on what, say, Mr. Thoning's achieved. And again, I know or knew, just a little piece of it. And I think about adding these other pieces to it in the future. Do we see potentially expanding that? And would you bring in, say, an additional, say, teacher to expand that program? I look at like a focus of engineering, and now we're talking about adding.
Yeah, and so what we're doing is, I don't know, things are based around schedule too.
Right.
Because there are only so many slots that are within the middle school schedule. But the key is exploration.
Right.
So when we talk about it and say, because probably one of our, if not the most successful program that we have is Scott Kutz and Adam Purdy whether it's the architecture and engineering, the different programs that we have there, it's huge. I mean, they do a fantastic job, but we have other programs that are really good too, that we really don't introduce in the middle school. And so being able to, and we also have students, yes, they're going to go into engineering, but not all of our students are going to be engineers.
Sure.
Some are going to go into the health services, which is why we have health services. Some people are going to go into different types of digital production or innovation. So it was kind of trying to cut that up. We would like to move in the future and look at what we're offering with technology, and then to be able to do something similar with that. So it's not just one direction.
Gotcha. Very helpful. Thanks. And I know Mr. Primrose does great work, and it'll be exciting to see him in his new role, and a lot of fun as well. Further discussion.
Years ago, Mr. Thonings had a greenhouse. Do they still have the greenhouse at Furnason? They do. And I didn't hear anything about the bees this year at the high school. Did they continue that?
They're still there.
They're okay. And somebody,
Yes.
they have the
So, Mr. Fawnings had partnered with, for the garden committee, and so students were doing the planting, so they're still in there. I just don't know if, I think Tiger might be doing things in summer.
okay.
As you say, last I heard, the Lee Bernison PTA is kind of taken on the garden in the greenhouse.
And then Diane's gonna do, are there plans for the elementary school that we talked about?
Yeah, well, what the last email I received from her about the elementary school, they were looking at the raised beds and doing some things like that. And I actually am meeting with her tomorrow morning. So, and when it comes to the bees, Mr. Wilson once a month goes there and does the full beard of bees. Just to make sure that they stay active.
Well,
There's been
yeah.
no escapes this year. Melissa Barr has taken care of. One year, they had flown over by Tony's house. That's the road bees.
Well, they sold the honey the
Oh,
year
yeah.
before, so I didn't hear anything about honey.
They
So,
didn't have a whole bunch this year because there was some disease within the hive in one of them. So they really just kept the local basically.
okay,
I'm hearing that it's going well so
good, okay.
Further discussion. Roll call.
Lizinski,
Yes,
Fanukin,
Yes.
Kraft,
Yes.
here not,
Yes,
motion carries.
At this time, we have a hearing of the public. If anyone wishes to address the board, they could do it at this time. Seeing none, we'll move on to board items and board comments. Anything?
excited about the new conference, Great Lakes Conference, and excited about the Spirit Rally. Unfortunately, I can't make it this year, but homecoming, I do have the fire truck lined up.
Yeah.
oh,
thank you.
wow, that's
Good
good,
work.
See, I'm glad you didn't get the rocket. Woman of action.
yes. So now we need to save our money for candy.
Yes.
Will do.
We owe Joe, you buy none.
All right. Thank you.
Bought it last time, thank you. We'll buy it.
All right, I like that. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second,
Discussion? Roll call.
To adjourn at 6:58 PM. Fanukin,
Yes.
here not,
yes.
Kraft,
Yes.
Lizinski,
Yes.
you are adjourned.
We are adjourned. Good work.